Hello and welcome. I guess we'll get started. Now, my name is Dr. Won Kim, and welcome to this session where we will talk about the question about Web3 marketing specifically. And so this conference my lecture is addressed to marketers or those people interested in marketing. And because I'm a professor at ESCE, I was the former director of the Masters of Blockchain since 2019. And so for me, I really, this is my field that I'm passionate about, but I also am a specialist in marketing. So bring the two together, it's Web3 marketing. And so I'm going to present to you in a bit of a theoretical framework, of course, because I am a professor, and I will try to summarize it as much as possible. What are the difficulties? But I'm going to answer this question right away, okay? The question is, why next-gen loyalty will become the dominant brand strategy? And the answer is very simple. And so if you just take this home, you've got the answer. And the answer is that we're going to be converting expenses, which is simply an advertising expense. And so when I ask my students who take in traditional marketing, I go, what are you going to do? And they say, advertising. I go, really? So you did all this study and work just to do advertising? And tell me if you really love to watch that YouTube ad that pops up when you click on it, right? And so we know that advertising is invasive, and yet this is kind of what most answer is to marketing. It says we're going to advertise. But what we are going to see with Web3 marketing, it's really a rejection of that, where we're going to instead convert an expense into an asset because we're going to tokenize. We're going to tokenize our community. We're going to tokenize our loyalty. And this, in accounting terms, something that would have been an expense is now an asset that you want to grow. And so this is why it's going to be sustainable. Now, easier said than done. Sounds great, right? It sounds so simple. But we're going to see that it requires a mind shift, a complete mind shift. A complete mind shift in what is commerce, what is marketing, what is an asset, and what is an expense. And so when we look at the conceptual, like what are the barriers to friction, like why isn't this happening right now? Well, there's the technical reasons, right, on this side. And then we have the conceptual. But I'm going to tell you the technical barriers, we already have the solutions. It already exists. Yes, we are early, and that is those people who get this will have the competitive advantage. Because why? What we thought were like the real barriers to customer adoption on a technical level, we have the solutions. You can just go around and you can just ask people around. The solutions are here. We can even have solutions that cost us almost nothing to create a Web3 loyalty solution today. And so it is not the barrier, it is not the technical. It is more the conceptual. And so what does that mean? It means that we have to understand what is marketing 5.0. And I have to explain that. We have to understand what is the concept of flywheel marketing versus the traditional funnel marketing, which is conversion through CRM. And then what is NFTs as memberships and not just as collectibles? We look at NFTs as something that we're going to sell, but in fact, it should be a membership to a relationship. And then also airdrops, and understanding the tokenomics of airdrops is not easy. And so these are the barriers. But if we look at where we are, and this is a bit of the evolution of marketing, well, when we say we're in the mobile era, what does that mean? It means that we are in a permissioned era, that you cannot just invade people. You have to have permission. Now, this has created a fractured marketplace. Everybody is, we're getting less and less common culture, right? And so because we are subscribing to things. And so if we look at the evolution of marketing, and this is very important because this defines your marketing strategy, it's evolved. And right now, we are pretty much in the 4.0 era. Now, what does that mean? It means that we moved from selling a product to doing advertising, and then we did segmentation targeting, and this is where traditional marketing stops, right? Because we go, how do we do better advertising? Well, we segment and target. However, but that's the push method, and that's when that's when marketing is an expense. But once we start understanding pull, which could be content marketing, it becomes an asset. And so once we start creating content, content is assets. And so this is what we love on social media anyway. And so we do less of advertising and more of content building. And then today it's about community. So in order to do Web3 marketing, we have to have a community. And if we don't have a community, we shouldn't have a product, right? And so this is why everyone talks community, 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 community in Web3 marketing. That's the foundation, but it's only Web 4.0. So what are Web3 companies doing right now? What kind of marketing? Most likely 4.0, but some 5.0. I'm going to explain what that means. When we get to 5.0, this is where we get to the intersection between using AI, anticipating people's wants and needs, and then we are already using generative AI to some extent, and then when we have to be very, very agile, which is part of actually part of winning companies who are really succeeding are agile. And what is agile means is it's not creating a full-blown 360 campaign, but reacting to something eventful and then reacting on Twitter or reacting on Instagram right away on time. And that means you're connected with what the consumers are connected with, and it doesn't have to be your product. Okay, and so that's why agility is so important. And when we get down to the stack, we realize that AI really dominates most of it. And so blockchain here is really one component of what we call marketing 5.0. But I'm going to show you why it's such an important component. Okay. And if you look at what is Web 3.0, it really is the third phase of the evolution, characterized by decentralization, ubiquity, and of course, artificial intelligence. And I'm going to show you that today we are far away from really using both artificial intelligence and blockchain together. I don't know if have you seen the Barbie campaign? The Barbie campaign where you generated your own, you put your own face and you generated through AI and you created your own Barbie advertising poster and you shared that on social media, which was a huge success. Like this blew up, and this is one of the reasons why Barbie movie was a success, because the campaign itself was so powerful and went viral. What was the problem? Well, that's where it ended, because people who created that campaign only knew AI. Now, imagine if we took that and we minted that as an NFT and turned that into a loyalty program. You see? And then why didn't they do that? Well, it's because they didn't understand marketing. Okay, they didn't understand what Web3 marketing is. They only understood AI. And so that was clever, but it ended, which is a shame. All right. Now, if you look at top 100 brands who entered into Web3, we're going to see that this is not, this is already the brands, all the major brands have experimented to some extent. However, very few have understood next-gen loyalty. So where they thought NFT marketing is, well, the Web3 marketing was selling an NFT, right? And they said, okay, we're going to launch a collectible. Great, done. Check, it doesn't work. And so what has to happen is they have to really understand what loyalty means. Okay, now what their definition of loyalty is based on CRM, customer relationship management. And if you look at the Starbucks campaign, which they launched an Odyssey campaign, and what this was, was an extension of their application. One of the reasons why Starbucks is so successful is because they have an application and it's a CRM and they push you all these offers and it's addictive because you get a lot of offers. And so what Starbucks is not just a coffee company. They're a tech company who specialized in CRM through their web app, through their app. Okay, so, and that is one of the reasons why Starbucks is so much ahead against the competition. Okay, and so in Odyssey, because that's so popular, they said, okay, well, we need to spice it up, and we're going to do a Web3 thing. We're going to launch a campaign, an NFT campaign, where you can do collectible stamps, right? And based on your profile and based on what you do, you're going to get certain types of stamps, and then you have to go to a marketplace and trade them with each other, right? And that was the big idea. And so this is kind of how the journey was set up. And so they had a marketplace where you can trade stamps with each other. And then you went to the score, and then you got it, and then you can turn them into perks, right? Well, the program ended. It's done. Why? Because they didn't think loyalty. They thought loyalty on a CRM terms, not in Web3 terms, okay? And so now the holders of these NFTs, what are they gonna do with these NFTs? They're gonna be like, oh, NFTs suck. I can't do anything with it, right? It's dead. NFTs, I wouldn't say it's a scam. They got some perks out of it, but it's not something that exciting. And this is why, because Starbucks did not think NFT loyalty, they thought NFT collectibles. And so this is why it's so important to understand this model. And what is this model? Well, we're going to compare CRM, which is Web 2, versus what are the traits of Web 3. And so the secret still is in the hybridization between the two. Because why? If you're purely Web 3, you're not going to want to go to Web 2. And if you're Web 2, it's very difficult because it's Web 3 is difficult, so you're going to need these on-ramps. And so you're going to have to create some sort of hybridization if you want to get your non-Web 3 people onto Web 3. But however, it's not just a question of technologies, understanding how far we can go. So here are the list of traits that are related to Web 3, which is a DAO. And here are the traits related. And you can see that they're very opposed to each other. These are oppositions. These are contradictions. And so when we look at designing a Web 2.5, how far are we going to go down? Okay, how far did Starbucks in their Odyssey go down? They went down as far as just the wallet, not even the wallet. They went as far as just NFT as a collectible. They didn't do any of this. You see? And that's why the program was destined to fail. Or end. I wouldn't say failed, I would say ended, okay? It was just a short-term program. It was a short-sighted program. And so this is why people are deceived about NFTs, because they go, oh no, Web3 marketing, well, it doesn't work. No, they didn't understand it. They don't understand that what you want to do is create a long-term relationship, not just launch a collectible. And so here was the problem. It's just that really when you look at the Starbucks campaign, they only did one aspect of a Web3, and so what they did was they just took a Web3 technology and made it Web 2. So what is an example of a very successful one? Well, let's take a look at Nike.swoosh. They created an app. Now they onboarded more than 300,000 members, and what they did was that it was a dedicated app to sell digital assets, and they did it in a way where the wallet was integrated, it was very easy, and it is successful even now. And so, so this is a really interesting case, because in Nike, they created this app after they bought Rectifact. And what was Rectifact? It was a pure Web3. They launched the first digital shoe, and it was bought by Nike. But what was that problem? It was too much of a Web3 company. And so they couldn't onboard their Web 2 users. And so what they did was create another program, which is the .swoosh program, to onboard the users and to sell Rectifact products on it. And so this is how they solve the onboarding problem. But it was quite expensive. Why? Because they had to build a dedicated app and system just for this. Now, the big question is, do I have to spend all the money like Nike? And I'm going to tell you, no, not today. We can do it even for very little amount. And we can create a Web3 loyalty program with new tooling that is not based on Discord, okay? So I'm going to show you the Bored Ape Yacht Club here. And if you look at the Bored Ape Yacht Club, this is just to show you an example of a pure Web3 driven a community that is moving towards branding and moving towards actually the general market, like digital products. And one of the big examples of this is Pudgy Penguins, which now they're selling actual toys in Walmart. And so here it's an instance where we have Web3 becoming brands in the traditional market. So this is so you have two dynamics working here. You have Web2 brands moving into Web3, and then you have Web3 brands moving into Web2. So and so this is kind of bound to happen. Now, what are the tools that are involved? There's a lot of tools, okay? But I'm going to tell you, I'm a cheapskate. So but the tools that are available right now, which are not even mentioned here, you can use, for example, Discover by ICP. And and why would you want to use that instead of Discord? Because a big complaint about Discord is just too difficult for a Web2 user. So if I'm a grandma, I'm not going to go on Discord, right? But however, it's been shown that a grandma would follow something like a Twitter, and they would follow something like a Discover, which does token gating. And you can create token gated communities in a very low cost way, especially zero gas fees to the user, which they were talking about in the previous conference. And so, but otherwise, if you're a big corporation though, you probably want to use some of these tools, and you probably want to put together a very easy way for their existing Web2 users to onboard into a loyalty program. Now, hybridization, it could look really ugly. So if we don't understand the principles, we're going to really create monsters, which is kind of what has happened so far a lot, okay? And that's why we called it failures, right? But also we're going to understand that this is going to create the next unicorns. And the real secret here is to really look at these oppositions and to create your own mix, which is going to really excite the user. And then create it is a new paradigm. And so there's a lot of opportunity to create an electromagnetic field of excitement. Thank you. So I guess we have 5 minutes of questions, if there are any questions. No questions concerning Web3 marketing? Okay, well, I want to thank you very much for your presence here. And for me, it's a great honor to be here to speak about this topic, because something that I'm so passionate about. But I do think that it will take time, because it is the shift in consciousness. Because if it was easy, it would have been done already. But because the understanding is a little bit more complex, because there is a technical side, but then there is a fundamental shift in the conception of what is marketing. But in the end, why it's destined to happen is because it is a more efficient system. We don't want expenses, we want assets. Thank you.